Minister, I want to welcome your apology in paragraph 4 of page 2 of your submission or contribution, and thank you for that fulsome apology, and I hope it gets into the public domain because it is important that we send out that message. I want to also acknowledge your initiating the review and the ceremony you're proposed to hold in the autumn. I want to acknowledge the former Minister, Minister Paul Keogh, who recommended to Cabinet the presentation of the Bon Jadotville medal and who was the first Minister to so do and to present the medals to those who served in Jadotville. I want to acknowledge former Minister Keogh's good work in that regard. I want to say that any criticism of today's report, and I spoke with some men today, I'll come to that, nobody is criticising Commandant Pat Quinlan, and there's no implied or explicit criticism of him. I want to salute the fact that our Cathaoirleach here named and brought the names of the veterans into the roll of honour of our Senate, and that was great. And just before I get into say a few things, I want to acknowledge Senator Crockwell's pioneering work in this area and real commitment and emotional commitment, and very genuine, cerebral commitment as well as emotional. I want to say that the review group was looking at giving Distinguished Service Medal to 33 personnel and gallantry to 5. And these people had held out for 5 days between the 13th and 17th of September 1961, and they only surrendered when overwhelming odds made anything else a suicide mission, basically, and that should never be off the record. And I shared the disappointment of colleagues, I should have said that at the outset, with the outcome. Colonel Pat Quinlan did recommend the awarding of medals at that stage. So these people have been viewed in some circles for many years, the veterans of Jadotville, as they've been looked at ignominiously, their pain they've suffered, there've been suicides, as we said, there's been issues with alcohol, a lot of problems arising, and it's certainly not a political issue, and it's very, very bad. Now, I want to say that a very distinguished member of my local community, Quartermaster Sergeant Sean Gregory, who was in the field of operations at that time and was policing the airport at the time of the Jadotville siege, would testify to me and to others of his recollection of the bad treatment of the men, particularly when they come home and since. He had been on 3 trips, 3 peacekeeping trips. He was in the area of operations and was a distinguished officer and would have known, and he said it was just disgraceful the way they were treated. There was so much collateral damage there. I do hope that the welfare recommendations are at least at a minimum adhered to. I would hope we do the welfare bit. I would hope that your letter is very strong in relation to the disgraceful insinuations about the motivation of political people from county councils, from the houses of the Oireachtas. That's beyond contempt for publicly paid people. And it's a very sinister type of thing, and I think Senator McGahan brought that very early and very well to notice. So I fundamentally hope that we'll have good ceremonies in September. I hope that we'll do the welfare bit in a good and big and wholesome way, and I hope, Minister, that you will intervene to make sure that happens very largely. And I'd like to hear you say that at the end, maybe, that you will be making sure that happens. And I think, lastly, it's very regrettable that haven't recommended the Distinguished Service Medals. I personally regret it. I think we all do. It's a sad outcome, but we will hold these people as heroes, their families, and it is great you apologise to them. And I think all of us, and I and every one of us, should apologise to them and do. It's disgraceful what happened to these heroes and their families. It's one of the great shames of our history, and it's a shocking indictment that people be treated like this, who couldn't do otherwise unless they committed Harry Carey or suicide collectively. Thank you, Cathaoirleach.